Good evening. I see a couple people on. Go ahead and send me your good evening so I know who's here. Hi, Mario. Thank you for joining in. Hi, Siobhan. Good night. You guys are like on the money. I love it. You guys have had a good day so far? Hi, Ken. How are you? Guess what? Ken, General has 8 puppies already. He just turned a year. I hope that's okay. But he has 8 puppies. They look just like him. You'll have to come see them. You guys hear my audio okay? Everybody can hear me okay? Give me a thumbs up or okay or something so I know that the audio is going well. It is. Okay, cool. Don't forget to share the link and call your auntie and your uncle. Words I share and breath I blow can't complain. I love it, Mario. I love it. Good evening, Howard. How are you? Good to see you too. Well, good to see you online, not CC you, but you know what I'm saying. Good for you to be here. Mr. McCook. Yes, I'm running it tonight. Gonna have some good information for you guys, some really good information. So um, it's gonna be good. Can't wait to share this stuff with you guys. So, but everybody has a good day so far. Everybody good? Did you tell everybody to come join us? Call your auntie and your granny and your uncle and your cousin and tell everybody to come on tonight. Because we have a lot of good information. You guys are always so faithful. We do definitely appreciate that. But don't forget to like and share the link so that everybody else can come on. So, did you guys see your countdown that you got today? That's new. My producer created that today. Hi, Leona. How are you? Good to see you. Did you guys see the countdown? Everybody give me a thumbs up or a yes if you saw the countdown on. Hi, honey. Welcome. I'm hoping you guys saw it because it was a pretty cool countdown. Thank you, Lashane. How are you? Big up yourself too. Yeah, your producer, which he's not with us tonight, so I'm got to do this all on my own tonight. He created a nice little countdown for us today. I thought it was pretty cool. I think O'Shane saw it. I haven't seen O'Shane yet because he sent me a message earlier today that he saw it. So Arthan, hi, good evening. How are you? So we're getting close. All right. So actually, guys, I'm going to have to be solo for a little bit. So this should be interesting because I've never done solo before. I do have a guest. It is a she. The reason why we are here faithfully is because we value what Cabra is doing. You guys are the best. Oh, thank you very much. We try hard. And we're so glad that you guys appreciate all the effort that we're making. And we also appreciate you guys sharing with us too. So we're only creating a forum so that we can all communicate and share information. So we definitely appreciate you guys coming and hanging out with us. And Babs is here. Hi, Babs. Everybody say hi to Ray's mom. We call her Babs. Good to see you. So, yes, guys, I do have a guest. However, my guest just called and she said, "Oh no, she's actually." Hold on, let me put my here's our topic for today. I forgot to put that up. So our topic for today is strategies to combat rising feed costs, which is very apropos for what's going on. Jasmine, Auntie Jasmine is here. Ray's aunt's here, so Ray's family is all supported here. I know mine's coming. I haven't seen them yet, so they're coming. You know, we might be a little bit late, but we're coming. All right. Hi, Mama Holland. Okay, so that is our topic for today. But like everybody in the industry always have these like last minute calls. So she is coming. It's actually going to be Dr. Tamika Dennie, and she's a nutritionist with Hypro, Jamaica Broilers, Hypro, whichever name they used to call them. So she just called me like 1 second ago. I'm like, no. She just called me 1 second ago. She said they are actually mixing feed. Oh, here she is. They are mixing feed as we speak. And so she's like, I'm going to be there. I'm going to be there. And
I'm sorry
here
about that.
she is. No, no. When duty calls, you must obey. So,
I know. When they called half an hour before the start time, I was like, no, no.
no,
But
no, no.
it
But
happens. It happens.
you made it. So we are super, super excited. And we'll just try to pack it all in because I know you have to run. And we appreciate any time you can give us. So, um,
Anytime at all.
awesome. Thank you. So some of us know you, but some of us are new to you. So I'm going to give you the floor so you can introduce yourself, tell us who you are, what's your background, what do you do, and we'll just kind of go from there.
All right. So, hello, everyone, my fellow agriculturalists, my practitioners out there, the technocrats, and just the regular farmers, which I hope to be one day. I always say that, my dream is to be a small ruminant farmer. My name is Tanika Dennie. I'm the nutritionist for Jamaica Broil. I have over 20 years in animal nutrition,
Mhm.
all classes of animals really, but I studied first in poultry nutrition, and then I went to Boulder's research station, branched out into small ruminant nutrition and large ruminant nutrition. Then I went to Jamaica Broilers, where I now formulate the feeds for all classes of animals. Since that point in time, I've visited extensively a lot of livestock farmers, just to get a feel of the land. The formulation is never complete until you see how the animals are reacting to it. And then since then, we've hired on another nutritionist who does most of the field work and then provides feedback to me to ensure that we're meeting market demands. So that's me in a nutshell. I love to mentor young people. I love to give talks. I don't give it as much as I used to.
Okay.
And I used to teach, but so giving this presentation is certainly a pleasure for me. So
Aw-
thank you very much for having me here. I want to say hi to all my fellow case graduates, the old farmers.
Yes.
Woohoo!
Woohoo. I didn't go to case, but woo with y'all.
By extension, man, by extension.
Okay, very good. We are ecstatic to have you. So, I know you have a presentation. Do you want to just go
I
ahead
do
and
I do have a presentation. I wonder how do I do it?
start that? Okay,
I'm
so
not used to restreaming. Oh, I see it here, like this share screen. All
yes,
right then.
yes, let's do
So
that.
a share screen, people, please don't look on the okay, entire screen. All
We're
right.
about the information. Not to worry, not to worry.
Yeah. Okay. Entire screen. Share. All right.
All right.
And let's
Information.
just go straight into this one.
Yes.
So
All
I just put this presentation together real fast. I
right.
thought it would be nice to have a point of reference. I can, once I tidy it up, I can share it with you.
Okay.
It's 30 slides, and you have to stop me, and I love to talk about my craft. So
Well, that's good.
just tell me when to stop. All right. So we're
You're
looking
going.
at
I'm sorry, Dr. Nana. As you're going, I'll keep watching the chat to see if anybody has any questions so that we
okay.
can intermingle those into the presentation. How about that?
Yeah, that sounds good.
All right, go ahead.
All right, so we're looking at nutrition strategies for small ruminant farmers in light of the volatile market that we're facing right now. And something I've always said is for small ruminant farmers, the bag feed is not meant to replace your fodder. It's not meant to replace your pasture. It is to act as an amendment or a supplement depending on the time of year.
Mhm.
And no more than ever, you definitely cannot use it as a replacement for good quality fodder, right?
Mhm.
So let's just start off with a little icebreaker. A young couple invited their elderly pastor to a Sunday dinner, and while they were in the kitchen preparing a meal, the minister asked their son what they're having. Goat,
Mhm.
the little boy replied. Goat? Replied the startled man of cloth. Are you sure about that? Yep, said the youngster. I heard daddy said to mom, today is just as good as any day to have the old goat for dinner.
Ooh. Interesting. Somebody stopped at my gate and asked me for one earlier this week, and I'm like, we don't sell that. Don't have any of
All right,
those.
and then the next icebreaker is why did the ram run over the cliff?
Uh-huh.
He did the U-turn.
Oh wow. Okay, I'm gonna have to remember that one.
All right,
That's
so let me just give you a brief overview. So, one of the jobs as a nutritionist is to look far ahead for market trends, and I purchase the ingredients for Jamaica broilers. So there's some nuances to the markets that I might be privy to, and the rest of the world, the farming world, might not be privy to. So I'm just going to touch on that a little bit. And
okay.
then we're going to look at management strategies, of which nutrition is a big part of your management strategy. And I know that people often think of management of the herd separate from nutrition, but actually, nutrition is part of management of the herd, right? And then we're going to do some conclusions. All right. So let's do a historical build up to the high grain prices. By the way, grain prices have increased more than 60% year over year, right? And even before everything was happening in Ukraine, for over 5 years,
Mhm.
China's swine population was greatly reduced because they had African swine fever. It meant that they were killing entire swine population. Well, you're saying to yourself, well, what does that have to do with migraine prices? Well, one of the things that China did was they fed a lot of swill. So now swill is garden waste, food from your kitchen, that type of thing. And there's a direct correlation between the transmission of the African swine fever virus and feeding swill. So the Chinese government banned the feeding of swill. And as the population recovered, they needed large quantities of grain to replace the deficit that was um, created by the banning of swill.
Mhm.
So they've turned to the world market. China has a much greater purchasing power than the rest of the Caribbean. And as a result, here in Jamaica, both feed companies have to pay a premium for their grains. So that's one of the reasons why you started seeing high grain prices from as early in the pandemic. And it wasn't related to the COVID-19 pandemic. It just coincided with China rebuilding its swine population, right? And then coupled with that, a lot of the crystalline amino acids. So, amino acids, I've always said that you don't have a protein requirement, you have an amino acid requirement. And amino acids are the building blocks of protein. So as people started to rely less and less on soybean meal as the only source of protein, you want to reduce the amount of crude protein in the diet, you start relying more on crystalline amino acid because it's a part of a precision nutrition program,
Mhm.
right?
So
So
that's
as
okay. What is crystalline amino acid? Can you break that down a little bit more for us? Because
yeah, man, definitely. All right. So amino acids, when you use the fermentation process, it and you're drying it, it crystallizes, and
okay.
it looks like a small powder, but when you look underneath the microscope, it looks like crystals. So that's why they call it crystalline amino acid, as opposed to an amino acid that would, if you break down, say, mutton. If you break down mutton in your body and you see the amino acid, it looks a little bit different than if you did it through the fermentation process,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
So that's what's called crystalline amino acid.
Okay.
And the substrate that you use for fermentation is corn. So, in an effort to increase or to decrease the amount of nitrogen, that is nitrogen pollution, nitrogen that's excreted by animals, you start focus more on making amino acids,
Mhm.
and the substrate for that is corn.
Okay.
And then, of course, that means that you're no compete. There's another So you're competing with humans for corn, you're competing against China, and then now you're competing for amino acid production for the same corn. So that drives the price up. And then one of the final things added on top of this was, and by the way, a lot of the crystalline amino acid is produced in China. Most of it, 80% of it is produced in China.
Mhm.
On top of that, for the 2022 Winter Olympics, China had said in 2021, we want clear skies. And they initiated what's called a clear sky program. And that meant that manufacturers had to shut down operations 3 times a day, 3 times for the week,
Okay.
right?
Mhm.
So it placed a crunch. So instead of getting your product in 10 weeks, it now pushed to 20 weeks, and then people started bidding against each other for these products. So all of these things come together to drive up ingredient prices, right? And then of course you have the COVID-19 logistical issues that everybody has been talking about. And don't watch a spelling of the Suez Canal. I guess Google didn't catch that one, right? It's a Suez Canal and it's spelled wrong. Don't worry.
Okay, we'll fix it.
I promise I'll edit it. If anybody asks for this presentation, I'll correct it. And then on top of that, there is actually a shortage for the chemicals required to make the fertilizers and the phosphates used in feed production, right? So phosphates and by extension, fertilizers have increased by 40 to 45% in just 6 months alone, right? So of course, you need fertilizers to have high yielding corn and soybean meal,
Mhm.
and you have the ripple effect from there, right? All right. So of course, it's passed on to everybody else. I know you have the war in Ukraine. So let's look at the management strategies then, because concentrates are now at a premium,
Yes.
and it means that we now have to move away from relying on it as the go-to feeding product and now treating it as it was always intended, which was a supplement or a substitute when times were dry. All
Okay.
right. And one of the first things I want to really push, and it's I know that the well-run farmers, they will tell you that they know this already. Colostrum. And it's
Mhm.
the 3 Qs of colostrum: quality, quantity, and you get it to the animals quickly.
Mhm.
And the reason why you say that is, imagine yourself
Mhm.
when you're overcoming flu or just some health challenge. You find that, say even a cancer patient, no matter how much they're eating, you just cannot eat enough food to put on the weight, right? Because a lot of your energy, your nutrient resources are going towards the macrophages, your immune system, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
And you want to limit that as much as possible. So the first line of defense for these kids is
Mhm.
colostrum before you have the closing of the intestinal tract, right? And that's the reason why you want to give it quickly. And you want to give it in quantity, because too little doesn't give them the passive immunity they need until their active immunity kicks in, right? And then when you
Mhm.
talk about quality, first time mothers, the quality of the antibodies, the immunoglobulin Gs in their colostrum is not as good as, say, somebody that has given birth, a third party do. Well, it wouldn't be a
Okay.
do. Yeah, right. So that's what we'll talk about, quality, and that's the reason why, if it is that you have a mother that very prolific, produces a lot of colostrum, try and save some of her colostrum to give
Yes.
to a kid that has that was whose mother is a first timer, because the quality is going to be superior. And one of the ways in which you can do this is use a handheld milk pump, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
You sanitize it,
Mhm.
use a vacuum. It's a vacuum system that pulls out the colostrum, and then you can freeze it. And then also for orphans, you can just take it out of the fridge, you defrost it, warm it up, give it to the animals quickly as possible. And not only that too, by doing it this way, you ensure that you've maintained a sterile environment. So the last thing you want to do is introduce a bacteria when you're giving the colostrum, right?
Mm-hmm.
So here's an example of one of them where it's hand pumped, and you freeze it in the bottle as is. All right.
Okay. Can I ask a question though? Like,
Yes.
how many of us can find that hand pump? Is the first time you said that? And we don't do
Really?
that.
Really?
I've never, we don't, no, we just milk it and we put it in a container and we actually freeze it in ice cubes and
Right.
then
Right.
and put in, the bottles and warming up like, you stick the bottle in warm water. That's what we do. And
Right.
we fine. We
Well,
don't have
you don't have that.
that. We don't
Well,
have that.
we can have further discussion on that.
No, but here's another question, and this is actually a really good question because I've been talking to a guy this week, and this is the challenge that he has. New mother, she dropped the kid,
Yeah.
doesn't pay any attention to the kid. He can't get any colostrum from her. He doesn't
Right.
have any. What do you do in a case like that?
In a case like that, if he has another mother that has, this is her third, fourth time around, she would have more than likely produced more than enough for her own kids.
Do not
So
have none of that.
it doesn't have
Nothing.
any of that.
Nope.
All right,
Nothing.
you can actually make your own colostrum using egg milk replacer. I need to look up the exact formulation for you. But there
And
is,
here
you can actually
milk
make your own colostrum.
milk replacer is a problem right now. We can't find milk replacer. He couldn't find any either. I had to go to Port Maria to get my milk replacer yesterday.
Really?
Hmm.
Well, there's also a formulation. There's also a formula for milk replacer too.
Okay.
I
Look
can share
out,
that.
everything. Have to go make our own everything.
No. But the Hyper Farm store should have milk replacer.
Yeah.
But I'll talk to the team about that.
Okay. Okay. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're fine. All right. So I've already spoken about why you're going to use colostrum.
Yes.
All right. So another aspect of the management is land preparation, and this is a stage. It's a sore point for me. Um, even say Bodle's research station that knows better, but because of limited resources, they are not able to do proper land management for a quality forage bank all the time. But the technocrats there, they're excellent. They know what to do. It's just once they have it, and then may have leaf. Boy, I'm telling you, this is too embarrassing. May have to change this one. This is what
Oh,
happens when you dictate.
that's true.
Yeah,
That's
you
true.
dictate it
But why
instead of.
real quick? I just saw a good question. What about cow's milk for your
You
kids?
can use no. You can use cow's milk. So cow's milk and the egg yolk
Mhm.
will, if you mix those together, and there's another component to it. I need to look it up. Like zinc oxide um is very good to add to it too. But I need to look up for the exact formulation. I haven't thought about the colostrum replacement formula in years now. I know I have it somewhere, so I'll definitely provide it.
All right. So I'm sorry because this literally happened today. I had this discussion this weekend.
Oh, with the
And
farmer?
he said, no cow's milk, no milk replacer. He's like, can I use Lasco?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
It's in terms of quality, it's a little bit further down the
Mhm.
line. You want to use an animal protein first
Okay.
before you move to a plant protein.
Mhm.
The good thing about the Lasco is made from soy protein isolate, so it doesn't have the anti-nutritional factor that soybean meal will have. So it will not irritate the animals as much.
Okay.
The problem is you won't convert it as efficiently.
Mm. Okay. All
Yeah.
right.
But
That-
hey, in a pinch, you use what you need to. The animal needs the protein as soon as possible. But again, The important thing is that you want to use some egg in there
Okay.
to try and get
No,
some.
egg or the egg yolk. Which one you said?
Yes, the egg yolk, egg
Egg
yolk.
yolk. Okay.
Yeah, because the egg yolk is the one that would have the antibodies in it.
Okay. Very
Yeah,
good to know. All right.
yeah.
Go right ahead.
All right. So for the land preparation now, we're talking about like the soil management now. Leaf meals as fertilizers. I know that we don't really practice that concept here in Jamaica.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, I told you that the fertilizer prices are going sky high,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes the leaf meals are very high in nitrogen, 20% nitrogen. Not only that, it adds organic material back into the soil. Organic material, as you know, it helps with the moisture, and it promotes the growth of organisms such as the earthworm, right? Which in turn is a knock-on effect. It's a positive reinforcement. So you increase fertility that way. You also can grow legumes for soil fertility, even if, and you know, of course, these legumes make excellent hay, but it's twofold, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then another method. This is an old concept, but the strict method of ensuring proper fertilization rate. Now, in the strict method, you have one strip of grass that goes across the length at the very top of the pasture. And that strip is what you use, what you apply your fertilizer. And then based on the intensity, you use the intensity of the green leaves in that strip to determine how much fertilizer you need to apply to the rest of the pasture, right? And this strip method is used primarily when you don't have ready access to testing the soil testing for a specialized blend of fertilizers. So you'd use a strip method for that, right?
Okay.
So this is just a practical method that you can use, and then this way you don't over fertilize or you don't under fertilize the pasture, right?
Mm-hmm.
But of course, I would prefer if you actually do soil testing and then get a blend rather than just getting the regular, like say 20 or whatever MPK commercially available. It would be better if you go to fertilizer company or you buy the individual elements and then make your own fertilizer based on the soil conditions that you have, right?
Yeah.
And then of course I have management of the organic matter as first and foremost,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Because especially in areas where you don't have access to irrigation and you're relying on rainfall, the level of organic matter you have will determine the overall health of your pasture, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it will also help to reduce the amount of weeds that invade the pasture, right? Because you have good ground cover, because you've managed your organic material, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Another thing is the composition of your forage bank, right? So I always say don't reinvent the wheel. There's a lot of information out there.
Oh yeah.
Um, I know that I went to Colombia when I was at Borders to do the civil pastoral system. I know Khalil Brown went to Colombia too, and they even sent technocrats over to train some farmers on it. The information is still there.
Yeah.
Um, so we just need to tap into that information.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, for those of us who don't remember, civil pastoral system is the method by which you grow trees that act as fodder with your grasses, right? So twofold. The trees act as a forage source. Most of them that you select are very high in nitrogen, high digestible energy, and other nutrients. And it also acts as cover. So, heat stress is something that we battle with on a daily basis in the tropics. And
Mm-hmm.
having these trees in your pasture system will reduce the amount of heat stress these animals face.
Yeah.
A hot animal will not eat. And if you don't eat and you're not drinking, you're not going to put on the weight,
Mm-hmm.
right? So we always have to talk about heat stress management. The forestry department actually has a very good book on the civil pastoral system. it wasn't really aimed towards livestock production. It was more towards crop production, but it's the same concepts. They talk about tree spacing, selection of the right tree based on the environment, contouring, that type of thing. So if you go to the forestry department, it's a nominal fee for the book. So they sell the book. It's a lovely book. All right.
Nice.
All right. So the trees that are good for the system, surprisingly, a lot of our farmers already know. They've observed their animals. They know what they're eating. So like the breadnut tree, and then the guango,
The tuna.
the stick or the gliricidia. You have the mulberry, the wild tambourine or the lucina, as we call it here in Jamaica, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the only thing that we need to do is figure out the harvesting interval. And the harvesting interval is based on the planting distance and so on.
Okay.
All right. So, for example, the mulberry plant, you can plant it 2 feet apart, and the harvesting interval is to be determined on a case by case basis. So, like the soil condition, the fertilization rate of irrigation. And there's this lovely FAO document that speaks about just doing the mulberry alone, and it talks about what impact the planting, the harvesting interval has on the nutrients, right? And for these plants, even the mulberry, you're not growing it to be a big tree. It's going to be probably knee high. And then you go through and harvest it. A converted lawnmower can harvest it, right? And then you incorporate this with your forages. Mulberry plant has, depending on the rate of fertilization, excess of the 12% crude protein. And of course, for rumen function, you need 8% crude protein,
Okay.
right? So it's an excellent source of energy and protein, right? And then, of course, your fodder bank composition, you're going to use a hybrid system. The live, everybody knows about the live fencing, but to get the volume that you need for the leaf meal, you actually need to probably intersperse it within the pasture itself, right? And then, of course, you use a forage calculator to determine the ratio that you're going to use for your dry leaf meal, or even your hay that you're making, and of course, silage. If you use your forage calculator to determine
Can you
the
get a force calculator online? Where you find that? I guess you can just
yeah,
Google.
you can find it online. I know Langston University has one,
Mhm.
and you have some other extension services that have it. I actually have a link to one of them, so I can probably
Okay.
put it in the chat afterwards, right?
Yeah.
And then, of course, you're going to select your forage based on the soil type: clay, sandy loam, soil with high saline intrusion. The moringa is excellent for soils with high saline intrusion, so I'd recommend that. One of the other things that people often overlook is the scale. If you don't know what your animals weigh, how you're giving them the right amount of
Mhm.
concentrate,
Mhm.
right? We might be overfeeding them or even underfeeding them, and both of which is a waste of money,
Mhm.
especially now that we have these high feed prices, right? Um, the sympathy measure. Okay. Tape measure. I don't even know how the dictation thing heard this one, but the tape measure method is good. Um, yeah, but the even better
That's
is using
the tape measure, and based on explain how that tape measure process works.
the tape measure is, you do the length of the animal and the heart girth of the animal, and there's a calculation factor.
Okay.
That's if you're using a regular tape measure. I believe Boodles had a little app, that told you how to do it. So
Mhm.
if you go on the app store, Boulder's Research Station had done an app for it. That was after my time. I think it was when Khalil was still there. But it gives you the step-by-step method of using the tape measure. And you even have specialized tape measures for animals that
Yes.
takes a lot of the guesswork out of it,
Mhm.
right?
Okay.
I prefer to use either manual or electronic scale. And boy, what a good thing I my ego can take.
No, man, this is good. We on the fly. That's how we work around here. The key thing is the information.
That's right. Key thing is the
As
information.
we go.
Right. Yeah. Yes, yes, everyone. I'm human too. I make
Oh,
mistakes.
yeah, we're all human. Can I ask
All
you
right.
real quick? I'm just noticing this one, and it kind of goes back to the forages. Robinson Goat Farm says, "Why do my goats love shoe block? It's a tree slash flowers. What's in it? Do you know what that is?"
Shoe block? What
Yeah,
kind of tree?
that's what he. I think that's what Robinson Goat Farm is. That the name of the tree?
Robinson, can you put a picture? Is it possible for them to put a picture of it?
I don't know.
Cause another farmer sent me a picture. He typed a name and I wasn't familiar with it. And when
Mhm.
he sent the picture, it turned out it looked exactly like the Barbados is it they call it the Barbados Pride, I believe. So if you can send me a picture of it.
So Robinson Goat Farm, if you send the picture to me, I'll send it to Dr. Denny, and then we can get it back to you. So I'm gonna put or 876-491-5875. So WhatsApp it to me. Four
And
seven six eight nine one. No, 876, I'm sorry, 491. That wrong number's wrong. I'm sorry. See, Dr. Denny, not making
see,
mistakes.
no, you make I'm
Four nine one
491 right?
5875. There you go. That other one's
Right.
wrong,
And
guys.
that's the reason why I said earlier, if you observe your animals, they will tell you the forages they like.
That's true. So somebody just put shoe black is hibiscus.
Oh, okay.
Hmm. Thank you, Mark.
Regular hibiscus plant?
I don't know. I'm not a plant person.
Nice,
What?
nice.
I still want to see a picture.
Yeah, I still want to see a picture too.
Send us a picture, Robinson Goat Farm, and we'll get the people that know to tell us what it is and why the goats
Yeah.
like.
And I should always give this disclaimer, while I learned a lot about forages, I'm not a forage production specialist,
Okay,
right? But I know who to ask. So if
absolutely.
you send me the information,
Can't know everything, so
you
it's all
can't
about
know
what
everything. Yeah, yeah. And anybody who tell you that they know everything, they're crabs.
No, we can't. We're always learning, so we will
Yeah, we're
definitely.
always learning. Yeah.
Okay. All
All
right.
right. So the load cells can be purchased. So I, in my lifetime, have probably made like 5 scales, and each time I always improve upon it.
Mhm.
And uh, you just need to buy the load cells and get a good welder that can see your vision, and they'll build it for you. One that I ended up making the last time, since I've been at Jamaica Broilers, and I ended up giving it to a pig farmer, had a section where you could put your notebook, you could collapse it. It had big wheels at the front, and you could lift up like a wheelbarrow and just carry it all around it. The wheels were really rugged, it was puncture resistant. So you can get creative with it.
Mhm.
And of course, you have a scale based on where you are right now in your journey as a farmer.
Mhm.
So you can get really fancy with it, or you can just have a simple load cell and apply board and
Okay.
a
I like
readout.
I like fancy new toys, so I'm gonna call you so we can make one.
Yeah, man, no problem. But the important thing is a scale is investment that pays back for itself. Because, for example, when you're doing your performance testing and you're determining which buck to keep,
Mhm.
you're weighing the offspring, and based on the weaning weights, you're going to determine, okay, do I keep Rambo or do I keep Terminator? You
Mhm.
understand me? But
Mhm.
how do you know which one to keep if you don't know the weaning weights?
Yes.
Similarly, how do you know which one to keep? Or what? Similarly, how do you know how much to feed if you're not weighing the animals? How do you know that the rate of gain for this genetic line is superior to the other one?
Mhm.
Because you could be keeping animals that are non-performing.
That's
And
true.
that's part of the rationalization that you need to do in
Mhm.
these very tough times. If an animal isn't a very efficient converter, then you need to get them out of the system. You really don't want them to pass on their genetic material, right?
Very. Say that
And one
again.
of the,
That was good. Say that again. Say it again.
but in these times, if an
Mhm.
animal is not an efficient converter, you need to get them out of your system. You do not want to perpetuate these animals passing on genetic material to subsequent offspring. The profitability of your company, of your business,
Yes.
depends on you doing proper animal selection. And one of the ways you're going to do your animal selection is by weighing them.
Mhm. Nice. Very
So
well said.
you definitely need to invest in a scale.
Mhm. Very good.
Yeah. All right. So the use of concentrates is a matter of timing,
Mhm.
right? I could have swore I fixed this,
That's okay.
All right. So it's a matter of timing, right? And it's timing on so many different levels.
Mhm.
You have pre-weeding, development of the rumen. And to me, if it is that you have very limited amount of money and you can't use the bag, you need to use the bag feed only on one stage of production, I
Mhm.
would say give it to the kids
Mm.
because you want the rumen to develop.
Okay.
You're basically feeding the stomach. If you don't have proper rumen development from that early stage, you're going to delay the time in which they're going to come into their first heat. You're
Mhm.
going to delay their weaning weight, time to market. Um, you're going to limit the full genetic expression
Mm.
of
Yeah.
the animal.
Mhm.
So if you're not going to feed concentrate any other time, this is the time you need to feed it,
Yeah.
right? Don't rely on strictly grass and hay and so on. The reason is the carbohydrates, the bacteria break it up into volatile fatty acids in the rumen, right? And then this in turn allows villi development. The villi are the small finger-like projections in the
Okay.
rumen, and it's these villi that absorb the nutrients,
Mhm.
right? And then it goes into the blood system, and that's how the animals um, grow, right? And that's the reason why I would say if any other time, this is the time you need to do it.
Mhm.
All right. During steam up for maximizing the
Let's steam up.
so steaming up steaming up is an old phrase that we used to use, that like you want to get the animals ready to for mating.
Oh, okay. All right. I guess I've never heard the term, but now it
Yeah,
makes sense.
yeah, yeah. It's an old term that
Okay.
you want to get them ready for mating,
Mhm.
and you want to ensure that they release as much
Flushing.
milk
That's the
from.
term I'm used to. Is flushing. I'm like,
Yeah, flushing. Yeah, yeah,
okay.
yeah. Flushing.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. All right. Um. So you want to do it during boy, it's so something there during pregnancy to increase fetal growth,
Mhm.
but you have to be careful. You don't want to do it too close to the end because that's going to affect if the animals get too big. You have dystocia, where animals too big to come out of the uterus, and the pelvic bones aren't wide enough to allow the birth of the animals, and they might end up causing fertility or birthing problems, right? So you have to be very careful during pregnancy in feeding the concentrate,
Mhm.
right? And I should also note here too is something that I always stress. You can't feed the animals first thing in the morning with concentrate feed. The last thing you want to do is give these animals concentrate feed on an empty stomach, right?
Mhm.
Um, what ends up happening is acidosis, and acidosis causes an imbalance in the rumen microflora.
Mhm.
This acidosis also causes hoof problems, right? So you definitely need to feed concentrates on a full stomach, and that's part of the reason why I say it's about timing. All
Mhm.
right. All right. So one of the things for nutrient management is, as I said, you want to reduce mistakes. So the timing of giving the concentrate, the protein versus energy, and also if you think that the animal's having a deficiency, you want to minimize poor diagnosis, right? And that's all part of the nutrient management strategy, right? So we already talked about this part right here. The
One
young.
question for you, and actually, Peter McCook brought it up, and I was thinking the same thing. What if you have feed in their trough? Because going back to where you said you shouldn't even give grain first thing in the morning, right?
Right.
They have feed in their trough all night long, and they're always eating. Is that going to be a problem?
Yeah. Well, first of all,
Or 24/7 is pretty much it. Yeah, they always
no,
have
no. So right.
grass and hay
unlike,
24/7.
unlike pigs and chickens,
Hmm.
goats and sheep should not have ad lib access to concentrate.
Hmm. Okay, so
Let me,
here's what we're saying. They have
it's
grass and hay 24/7.
right.
So is it still true that we shouldn't give them grain first thing in the morning?
If they have it 24/7, then no, it's
Okay,
not true then.
okay. Because they're not on an empty stomach then, because they have
Exactly.
food all day, all night. Okay, all right. Just
Exactly.
want to clarify that.
Exactly.
Okay.
But of course, not all farmers give them grass and hay 24/7.
Hmm. So if
Some
they're not,
farmers, they're penned up, they don't have access during the nights to
hmm,
anything at all. And first thing you might give them the concentrate and then let them out to pasture. I've experienced a lot of situations like that. So
okay,
that's what I'm talking about,
okay.
right? So I always say if it is that they don't have access to the grass and hay 24/7,
Hmm.
you give them the concentrate in the afternoon when you know their stomach is already full. They're going
Okay,
through the rumination process. All
okay.
right.
Yes.
All
Hmm.
right. So I want you to see the rainfall averages in Jamaica, 30-year rainfall average. And then of course this blue one right here is Portland,
All right. Where's St.
right?
Mary?
St. Mary very close. I bet you St. Mary very close.
It's
Here's
close. No, we get rid all the time. We get
really
rid.
well, I guess it depends on the region in St. Mary. Um Surprisingly, Hanover gets more than St. Mary, you know.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. But one thing you notice, this looks like, I don't know if it would be like, if you describe it as a camelback or,
Mhm.
this head up here kind of looks like a horse to me. But you get the general idea based on it. We get a lot of rain in April and May, and then there's a dip in July, and then August, and then September, October, you get some more rains, and then it falls off again, right?
Mhm.
And our forages pretty much grow the same way, right?
Yes.
All right. So back to the timing argument, as
Mhm.
you'd see. Supplements are not appropriate for all times of the year. Concentrate feed. I know I work for a feed company and you'd think I'd be pushing bag
Mhm.
feed, but no, that's not the case. I want you to make money. And if you want to make money, you treat it as a supplement,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
You do have some classes of animals that, yes, you want to give them it throughout the year, but as I said to you, mostly the kids, because you want the villi development, and then say pregnant during times of flushing, you want to get the market weight. Then in those situations, it is appropriate because you want to really push to get that final weight. You want to get to market as soon as possible, right? But for the most part, you don't make any money when time you feed. Concentrate during maintenance.
Okay. Yeah, we don't do that.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
don't make it. You're
not as
losing
give
money.
them concentrate. No.
right? You're losing money,
Mhm,
right?
mhm,
So what you need to do is utilize the information provided about the rainfall, which in turn affects the quality and the quantity. And then now you determine when it is you need to provide supplementation, right?
mhm, mhm.
So this is the summary now of the rainfall. The blue is a summary of the rainfall, all of the parishes in Jamaica,
Okay.
right?
Mhm,
And then, of course, following that same line, you see the forage quality and the growth, right? So you
mhm,
see the best forage quality would come April, May, June, and then you have a little fall off. And then, of course, September, October, and then, of course, you have a fall off again, right? And then
mhm,
the areas where you see the bars, that's when I would say you're going to use your supplements, right?
mhm,
Right. All right. Another time you're going to use your supplement too is when you're looking at the growth curve of your forages. Sometimes you can't wait until you have that intersect between quality and quantity. And based on your situation, you just either have to harvest it a little early or you have to wait until very late to harvest it,
yeah.
right?
Mhm,
So everybody's situation is unique. So where you see I've highlighted in the blue, this time is um, very high in protein but low in energy for the forages.
mhm,
And then where the area that's highlighted in red is very high in energy but very low in protein. And at these two different stages, if it is that you're harvesting at this point in time, you might need to add a little extra to the package.
mhm,
So, for example, phase three right here, where you're very high in energy, but you don't have enough protein to drive the utilization of of the energy,
mhm,
because we've always said that we have an energy deficiency problem here in Jamaica. But funny enough, even though you need less protein, if you don't have more than 8% protein, the animal cannot effectively utilize all of that energy that you're giving to them. And that's the reason why, like, if you're giving animals sugarcane, you need to give a readily available nitrogen source like urea so that they can quickly utilize it, so that the rumen microbes can quickly utilize it and convert this carbohydrate into amino acids and also microbial protein, right?
mhm.
So you just have to be very cognizant of it. So sometimes you have some really dry pasture. You said, boy, this is past its usefulness. It's really tough and hardy. You can still utilize it. It's
Okay.
just that you add amendments to it. So you
Okay.
add the urea to it. You might add some enzymes to it. Um, there are some studies that like the fermentation process can
Mhm.
help in a situation like this, right? So all is not lost when you talk about utilizing the forages regardless of its stage that you're going to
Oh,
harvest it,
okay.
right?
So did you say phase two then is the best time,
Yeah,
or?
phase two, the end of, like, towards the ending part of phase two would be
Mhm.
the best time,
Okay.
right? And your animals actually tell you what phase of production the forage is in. So during phase one, if you look on the feces of, say, sheep,
Mhm.
they're clumped together.
Okay.
So you see so some of the farmers might notice this, where they see the feces close together, might a little bit loose. So that's
Mhm.
how you know that they're eating plants, forages from phase one, right? And then phase three now, you find very loose stool. So the dry matter content is very high, so the stool is very loose, right?
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I didn't it's funny you say that because I was noticing, because I'm used to seeing little balls, nice little balls everywhere. And I noticed was it last night? Somebody had all her little pellets, but they were like all over. And I'm like, I don't
Mhm.
I've never seen that before. So I'm like, okay. So
So
that's
so they yeah, so they're eating forages that's very old, very high in dry matter content, but very low in protein.
Okay. All right. So here's a question. Does free choice mineral cover a lot of those ingredients that are lost?
Yes, it does, but not the protein. So it's mostly the macro and micro minerals
Mm-hmm.
that are lost.
Mm-hmm.
And where I talk about the misdiagnosis, say sometimes you might think that the animal has worms, that's why they're not gaining weight. It might turn out that they actually have a mineral deficiency. They might have, like, say, a salt deficiency, or they might have a sulfur or magnesium deficiency. And the free choice minerals, when you provide it, it's supposed to be ad lib. The animals will tell you what it is that need. So if you see them going towards the free choice minerals frequently, that means that they're experiencing a mineral deficiency. But if you see them hardly eating it, don't stress yourself. That means that the forages that they're eating are providing all the minerals that they need right now.
Okay. Very good. Nice.
All right. And then this right here is a realm of the veterinarians, where they talk about parasite control and the rotation of the available products. I know for my feed, well, we're mostly antibiotic free. So best rest chicken is antibiotic free. Most of the product line for high pro is antibiotic free, but the few products that still have antibiotics commercially available is done under the prescription of a veterinarian, and the rotation program is done in consultation with the veterinarian. So
Okay.
no matter how many years of experience I have in feed formulation, when it comes to the medication and the rotation, that type of thing, I still consult with the vet. I stick to a strict 6 month rotation of my products. And I encourage the farmers to do likewise. The parasites are very smart. They pass on genetic material to each other that ensures that they survive. At the end of the day, everybody wants to live. Same thing for the parasites, same thing for the bacteria, right? So they're constantly evolving. So that's the reason why you need to do a rotation, right? And you have to develop the treatment program with a local veterinarian. And of course, don't bother with this. If it's a 1 teaspoon, then 2 teaspoon, very good for it. Then please don't do that. Right? Because invariably what happens is you kill off the sensitive parasites that were probably keeping the very pathogenic parasites at bay. All right. So please use the correct amount.
Yes.
All right. So now long term, I kind of touched on this before, but long term strategy. Look, feed prices are not going to get any lower. They're only going to go higher.
Mhm.
It's unfortunate. That's the reason why we want to build up the small ruminant sector. We want to be 100% self sufficient, right?
Mhm.
The only way this can happen is, one, of course, rapid infusion of females into the population, so that we can get to the numbers required, and then you can get economies of scale. But farmers need to do their part too, because there have been numerous programs that dealt with importation of animals, that dealt with artificial insemination.
Mhm.
I know that, like your farm, you have, like, I think Unity Valley, you have several farmers out there that have superior genetic stock.
Mhm.
But by large, by for the most part, some farmers are not selecting for efficiency. Just have the animals, and when it reaches the weight, them sell it.
Mhm.
You
Mhm.
might be, you actually, because you don't do any performance testing, you might be selling your best animals. You're
Mhm.
supposed to keep your best animals and
Mhm.
sell the ones that you don't really need
Yep.
for meat production, right?
Yes. Yes.
But you can't do that if you don't have a performance testing program,
Yes. So
right?
what we do, because for those people who are newer or just learning, so what we do, we keep it very simple for right now. We weigh the kids at birth, and then we weigh them at weaning, and then we come up with our performance ratio, and that's how we decide. Okay, these ones are higher performers versus these ones. Because even if you're selling all of them, Now you can ask
Mhm.
him more for this one because he performed a little bit better than the other one. So
Exactly.
record keeping, I know we hate it. And we think it's a lot of work, but we have to do it if we're running a business. You can't, like Ray says, you can't manage what you don't record, or he has something like that. You can't manage what you can't see, or whatever. So you have to
Exactly.
write it down.
Yeah.
You have to write. It's amazing when you start writing stuff down. You're like, oh, I didn't notice that before. Oh, I didn't see that before.
Exactly.
Write it down. Get a little
Yeah.
notepad, stick it in your shirt pocket, write it down.
Yeah. All right. So it's not win, it's win. All right. And then you know what else too?
Mhm,
Hey, I know that it's doing two, winning two kids, and one that's doing three. You might be tempted to say, all right, I'm going to do the one that does three.
mhm,
But the weaning weight might not be sufficient. So maybe you stick to the two. But if the weaning weight is on par as the one that does two, then you might want to keep the one that gives you three kids.
mhm.
Conversely, a doe might give birth to three, but only weans one.
That's true.
And because she gave birth to three, you say, oh no, I'm going to keep her because she's a three dropper. No, she only weaned one. So you need to get rid of her.
Mm-hmm.
At the
Not
end of the day, it's the animals that were successfully weaned and the weight at which they were weaned.
mm-hmm.
Right? Also, selection for parasites, external and internal parasites.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Some look, people always tease me and say, boy, I'm gonna make good. Me allergic to every single thing. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, milk, allergic to it.
Mm-hmm.
Cheese, allergic. I mean, I can't even eat yam anymore.
Really?
Pineapple,
Wow.
mangoes, I can't eat anymore. I just discovered I can't eat oranges anymore. You understand me?
Oh, yes.
So if you were doing a selection, if I was doing a selection, I wouldn't select me. My genes bad because I'm allergic to everything.
It's a good thing God knows better.
Bad, but it's
Good
good
thing
thing I
God
got
knows better. So that's
but
why God can make up for it.
right. So if you were just selected, if you were
Yeah.
just selected based on allergies and so on, I wouldn't select me.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing for the animal. You have
Yeah.
some animals that are just really good at resisting internal and external
Mm-hmm.
parasites.
Mm-hmm.
Their immune system is extremely robust, and those are the animals that you want to keep,
Yes.
right?
So going back to the three dropper, four dropper question, here's
Mhm.
what are your thoughts about supplemental feeding from multiples?
Yes, you can do that,
Mm-hmm.
but it depends on what kind of operation you're running.
Yes. Because it does
So
get expensive.
yeah,
It's
it gets expensive. Exactly. So if it is that you're primarily
expensive
for meat
and
production,
expensive because you're stuck. I
yes.
don't want to say stuck, but you have
Yeah.
to go back and feed those kids, and
And it depends on the quality of the help that you have.
that's true.
Yeah. So the assistance that you have, you can't do it all yourself, you know.
No.
So if it is that you're when you're looking you're looking at the amount of kgs meat sold and you're willing to put in the money,
Hmm.
then I would say yes, go ahead and do some supplemental feeding.
I mean, they're already there, so you might as well
Yeah,
bring them to market. So I wouldn't just.
exactly. But then you should really think hard, long and hard about whether or not you're going to keep this mother.
That's true. That's true.
Mhm. If every single time you need to have provide additional assistance to her to keep it to, but you have to deter, hey, at the end of the day, you know your business, I can tell you not to keep her, but if it's worth it to you and you see the money in it, go ahead, keep her.
Mhm.
At the end of the day, it's your business.
Right, yep.
All right.
Everybody has to make their own decision. We give them the facts, and everybody makes their own decisions accordingly.
Right. And then the final thing I want to talk about is your concentrates. So, you have energy concentrates and you have protein concentrates, and you need to select the correct one for the appropriate time. So, remember when I showed you the forage line?
Mhm.
Um, truth be told, protein concentrates are called supplements, and energy concentrates are actually substitutes,
Mm-hmm.
meaning you're substituting or you're helping your pasture. Whereas the supplement is you're deficient in something, so you need to add it. Yeah. So, and the selection of the right type of concentrate is critical, right? All right. And concentrate should not be relied on in times of drought. That's where you have your forward planning, you have your silage, you have your hay.
Okay.
You have to pay for, when I went to New Zealand, everywhere you went, you just had these standing pastures of forages. And then so you have the animals grazing, and then so for every 10 acres you had 5 acres that was a standing bank for forages.
Hmm.
And then you had another 5 acres where they had the silage. So you had a lot of tires. You'd see these white bags in the pastures and a lot of tires piled up on them. And that's their conservation. And New Zealand has um, temperature ranges from it doesn't even get above 80, and they don't really get snow there. It's ideal for sheep production and
Okay.
goat production, right?
Mhm.
And if they see the importance of further conservation and ensuring that you have product for a rainy day,
Mhm.
I don't see why Jamaica is lagging behind
Yeah.
implementing a lot of these concepts.
Mhm.
Um, I'm encouraged by the amount of new players in the market that's selling hay. I'm
Yeah.
encouraged when I hear one of your farmers say, well, the animals have hay 24/7. I'm encouraged by that.
Mhm. Mhm.
I want more farmers to get into it. I want more farmers to get into the total mixed ration and silage,
Mhm.
because at the end of the day, this is how we will start to compete. When we start looking at it as a cash crop, just like how the melon and the lettuce man in St. Elizabeth, or well, not even lettuce, but the scallion man in St. Elizabeth walk and cut king grass and guinea grass and dry it and do the mulching.
Mhm.
The same care they take for their crops is the same care we should take for our pastures and our forages,
Mhm.
right?
Absolutely.
Right. All right then. So another final thing is multi-nutrient blocks. I don't really hear much people talking about it anymore.
Mhm.
I know I did a study on it where in time at Bodles during the drought period, we were able to feed low quality forage. Actually, say it was rice trash.
Oh.
Yeah,
Okay.
rice trash, which is high in silica. We
Mhm.
successfully fed it to these animals, and because we had multi-nutrient block, they gained at the same rate as animals that were fed hay but no multi-nutrient block.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
And we made the multi-nutrient blocks ourselves. You know what I did? I went to the apiculture specialist, and he had those bees box,
Mhm.
and I took a couple of bees boxes from him
Okay.
and mixed up. I had a cement mixer. It was me and Yintel Dilstra that did it, and we mixed up the cement and the wheat middlings. I wrote to flour mills for some wheat middlings. I put urea in it. I put concentrate feed in it. All the good stuff. Mixed it up because I did the cold press method. We bought a jack, a
Mhm.
2-ton jack, and
Mhm.
we pressed it, allowed it to dry, and we fed the animals.
Wow.
And they gained on this low quality forage,
Mhm.
or the same rate as the hay. So it works, guys.
So we would have to make our own multi-nutrient blocks, or can we
You
buy those?
can, you can, they do sell, I think it's mostly salt licks that they sell in the stores. that
Okay, so
has
that was it.
microminerals. But
Okay.
you can make your own multi-nutrient block. And I think it would be good if a farmer can go into making multi-nutrient blocks too.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. What are your thoughts on a hydroponic fodder system where animals feed are grown from seeds and grains without soil?
Excellent. But it might be a little bit expensive. But you know what the advantage of that system is?
Mhm.
Vertical growing. So
Yes.
if you have like 1 acre doing the hydroponic system, hey, even better if you can have fish in the water
Okay.
and you do aquaponics and you do aquaponics instead of the hydroponics. So you have
Mhm.
the fish fertilizing the forages, and then you do the vertical farming. Excellent. Because then now
Awesome.
you have multiple income streams right there.
Mhm.
All
Okay,
right.
that's awesome. That's good to know. Dr. Young says blocks are pretty easy to make, so that's cool to know too.
Yeah, man, they're really easy to make.
Mhm.
All right. And then the final thing is access to water.
All right.
So in December, November, these
Fix your
goats and
laptop so we can see your face. We can't see your face. Your beautiful face
oh,
is.
sorry guys.
Okay,
I was here
there you are.
I was here stretching.
I know it is. I'm like, oh, she quite relaxed back there. Access to water. Go ahead.
All right. So animals drink 10% of their body weight daily.
Okay.
Muscle is 70% water. So what do you think is going to happen if one, you don't give the animals access to water because you've tied them up in the hot weather, to muscle development and to the rumen function?
Wow.
You compromise both of them.
Hmm.
All right. And that's why it is imperative that you never ever restrict water access. Right. And in the summer, this 10% water requirement increases to as much as 16%.
Hmm.
Right.
Hmm.
By restricting the water, you're also restricting feed efficiency, because the feed needs to dissolve into the water in the rumen, right?
Hmm.
You're increasing the surface area, because then you have the rumen churning and big muscular churning, breaking it up. But by adding the water to it, you're increasing the surface area, and this is allowing the bacteria and the fungi to attack it and then convert it into the microbial protein and the volatile fatty acids. But if it is that the animals don't have access to the water, this process is greatly reduced. And it's the cheapest thing you can use to increase feed efficiency.
I'm laughing because I don't know where this theory comes at. Goats don't drink water. Goats don't need water. Like what?
I have no idea.
I mean, yeah, yeah. So water, people, simple, easy, water.
Yeah, man. Drink water.
Mhm. Who
All
would have
right.
thought? Water.
Water. But importantly, is quality water. So if you can't drink it, you really must make the animals drink it. So what you actually do is water treatment. You can do water treatment. So chlorination. Make sure the pH is right, because if you just chlorinate the water, like if it's irrigation water and you just chlorinate it, if the pH is too high, then the chloride ions will not dissociate and act as and so their antimicrobial properties is going to be reduced. So you want to ensure that the pH is correct. But that is kind of getting a little technical. It requires using a pH meter or even those little strips to ensure that it's below the 7.5 as much as possible. But water sanitation, so you need quantity for
Mhm,
water and you need quality,
mhm.
right? It's one of the cheapest, and a lot of problems that you have with animal health can be traced back to poor water quality,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
and the fix is relatively simple. So that's all I have to say about that matter. So that's the final thing I have. And everybody knows it's old picture, but it still cracks me up every time I see it.
I've
I
never
don't know.
seen
I don't know if it's teeth in my teeth, the goat, but boy, this is how you must love your animals. Him cherish his animals so much that him strap on the goat and say, "Come, goat, we're going down the road."
Yes. I love my animals and I pet them and I talk to them and I'm like, you okay? What you need? Oh yes. And hug them. Everybody's like, Trudy's an animal. I'm like, oh, but they need TLC. Then they perform better.
Less stress.
Yes. Reduce the stress.
Yes.
Yes.
The,
So,
the hard part comes is when you have to kill them and eat them. Say, oh well, this is Betsy I'm eating right now.
well, that's why we don't focus on that. Most of ours go for other purposes.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Whereas I treat my animals with respect, but my mother always said you mustn't play with your food. So
Ah, that's a good reminder. That's a very good reminder. This was a lot of very, very good information. So you and I will work and we'll tweak all the little
all
and
of
we'll
the typographical mistakes, I'll
yes,
edit
yes,
it and then I'll send it to you.
yes,
Yes. So
definitely send it.
your loyal followers can get access to it.
Absolutely. Anybody who wants it, I'll be more than happy to share because it's a lot. I mean, I like how you ended with water. Something as simple as water
Something else exactly.
that we don't think about. So that's I got a lot of good information out of it. So I think you guys did too. I'm trying to see if there are any questions. Did I miss anything? I was trying to catch them as we went. I don't know. Chester has a comment here. You didn't give much information on it, but it's a system. Hold on, let me show it. Put it up here. Let me go back to this layout
And
too.
if I didn't go in detail in any one topic, was because of the time and I was touching on many little topics.
Yeah.
And I probably, maybe what I can do is like one day just break
We
out the
can
little topics
break
and
them
explain.
down. Yes, I like that. You didn't give much information on it, but it's a system that I think everyone should look into. My own,
Silver.
I'm not sure. My only concern is at the stage it is given to the animal. Always think young sprouts will run their belly. I'm not
Oh, you're talking about the multi-nutrient blocks?
maybe,
So
maybe. I don't know. Chester, tell us exactly what you're referring to because I did see that comment and I was trying to get to it earlier. All right. Peter McCook said excellent information. Conrad would like your contact information, Dr. Denny. Are you comfortable giving it out or I can?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, you can give it out, yeah. No
Okay.
problem.
All right. So Conrad, send me a message and I'll be happy to share. And anybody who wants it, you guys, I put 876-491-5875 as our WhatsApp number. Message us and we'll be happy to share the information. All right. So this is good. I think Chester was talking about the hydroponic fodder system. Ah, did I hit the right one? Oops. Hold on. I hit the wrong button. Yeah, Chester was talking about the hydroponic fodder system.
Yeah. So interestingly, the hydroponic Chester probably has seen those wheat germ experiments
Mm-hmm.
where you have the wheat germ seeds, and in a matter of days, you have this nice thick mat that's so rich in protein and energy. You can give it to your animals. But he's correct. That same forage curve that I spoke about, it applies same way to the hydroponic forage system.
Okay.
This stage, one thing I didn't mention, you see, when you feed in phase one, you might get nitrogen poisoning,
Mm,
right? So you have to be very careful. That's
okay.
where you have the diarrhea.
Mm,
I learned the hard way
mm,
what happens when an animal gets nitrogen poisoning. And it actually happened with a multi-nutrient block. So you have to make sure that you follow the instructions.
okay.
I didn't compress my multi-nutrient blocks enough. And one animal ate too much of it and they got nitrogen poisoning. And animal couldn't be saved. Animal ended up dying. And it's a very hard lesson to learn,
Mhm.
but you grow. And notice I said learn. You grow from it, and so it's the same thing for forests. You have grass tetany, and it's just basically nitrogen poisoning, and you just have to be very careful. So even when you're doing your forage production, you really don't want the animals to escape in the pasture. This usually happens early spring where you have a lot of the rain, and then the photo period is ideal. So now you have that fast growing grass, and the animals, they're just excited, and they just get away in the pasture, and they gorge themselves on it, and they'll get nitrogen poisoning. So
Okay.
you have to be very careful. So it's the same thing too when you're doing your hydroponic forages.
Mhm.
You have to make sure that you harvest them in phase two to prevent that from happening.
Okay. Very good. It's a lot to think about, and a lot to keep up with.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
it's a lot. So that's why we have this forum so we can keep each other reminded and keep learning
Mm,
different things because it's quite a bit of stuff to keep up with.
mhm.
I'm trying to see
Definitely.
anybody. I don't see any other questions. Guys, if you have any questions, now's the time to ask. Or it sounds like Dr. Denny's willing to come back and do some more with
Yeah,
us.
no, no, no. I'm willing to come back. No problem. Willing to
Yeah.
come back.
So we'll definitely have to keep your number handy and call you up again. But I for one, learned a lot of information. So again, guys, we'll get the presentation from Dr. Denny. If anybody wants it, I'll be more than happy to share. Because again, sharing is caring. So we want to make sure that everybody has all the information. And I know you have to go and enter the call of work to make some
Yes,
for us.
yes. I had promised them 1 hour, so we kind
Okay.
of
All
over.
right.
So no
We will
worries. We
respect
have
your
it.
time and all your responsibilities. So we definitely thank you very much for coming. Jamaica area code, please. I need it. I'm not sure, Conrad. Okay, Conrad, just reach out to me. 876 is that what he's asking? 876 is the area code for Jamaica.
Yes.
876-491-5875. I can't talk and type at the same time. All right, Conrad. So hopefully you have it now. 876. Yes, there you go. All right. So, Dr. Denny, thank you so much. We appreciate your time. It was awesome information. And guys, she was amazing. So give us some little thumbs up and fire emoji. So because I know you guys enjoyed that. All right. Thank you so much for coming to share with us. And guys, we'll see you same time next week with another great topic. You
All
guys
right.
have a great weekend. Thank
All
you, guys.
right. Bye, everyone. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Dr.
Trudy.
Denny.
Really appreciate the
Oh, it
invitation.
was fun. It was
All
fun.
right.
Thank you so much. All right. We'll see you guys. All
Yeah.
right. Bye
Bye.
bye.